Welcome to the GTA Advisors Podcast. We interview Greater Toronto Area business owners, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders. Our goal is to bring Greater Toronto Area residents the best advice from our community's brightest minds. Now, here's your host, author, entrepreneur, and real estate innovator, Robert Caruso.
Welcome everyone to another episode of the GTA Advisors Podcast. Adrienne McRuvie is the clinic director at Oma Chiropractic Wellness Centre. Adrienne, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, so I know you are you're the owner of the clinic as well as a chiropractor there. So maybe you can share with us a little bit of information about what you do. But before we get into that, maybe you can just give us a little bit of background. You know, where did you grow up? What do you do in your spare time? And what did you do before you became a chiropractor?
So I grew up in Toronto, the northwest end of Toronto. So I am Torontonian based. And what I do in my spare time, actually what drew me originally to chiropractic was yoga. So I originally became a yoga teacher. When you were asking me this question, I was kind of perusing. I feel like my life has always been in service in some way. And my mom just recently brought up, she's trying to empty all the stuff from our house about all the stuff that we've had since kids. And I had a picture that she gave me when I drew maybe in kindergarten. And I drew myself towing other people behind me. And I said to my mom, she said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, these people can't walk, so I need to pull them in my wagon."
Wow.
And so I've always had this, sense of service, I think, and wanting to help people. And in high school, I was the president of the Rope Association, which is to reach out to people in Etobicoke. So I've always had this sense of wanting to be of service to people. And then I took this strange path going into university. I went to actually fashion. I went to Riverside for fashion. And then I got there and said, what the heck am I doing here? It seemed great, in your youth where you're this is fun and everything, you don't really foresee your life 5-10 years ahead. Mm-hmm. And then I sat in that place 5 years, 10 years ahead. And I said, I can't do this. This is just not who I am. And at the time I was doing a lot more yoga. And just the teacher said at the time, planted a seed, said, why don't you do your training? And really that was kind of the shifting point. I did my training in India and I honestly came back a completely different person. I knew that I couldn't work. There was something not aligning for me anymore. So that was really the shift. There's these trajectories in your life, and that was one of the big ones.
It's always amazing how you sit there and all of a sudden a wake up call comes and you're just no, this isn't for me. I can't do this.
It's not going to work this way.
So training in India. So you said 5 years in India?
No, I was there for a couple months.
Oh, yeah. I apologize. I don't know.
Yeah, that's okay. It was an intensive class. It was an intensive course, in India, and then came back and did, not much longer at Cairo College, which is 4 years.
Of course, yeah, because I do know that it does take some time to become a chiropractor, right? So, we've all had challenges.
Yeah.
What has been your biggest challenge?
I feel like I have a couple there. I have as a business owner and then as a mother entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. So I would say I'm also mentoring a chiropractic student right now. And we were actually talking about this the other day. So I just said to her, my biggest challenge is I feel like we have these micro and macro things that we do. So I'm going from detail-oriented note-taking, like clinic records and systems. And then at the same time, as a clinic owner, I need to sit back and have a big picture. And so some days I feel like I'm shifting from zooming in and zooming out. And sometimes it's really tough to kind of see the big picture with all of the to-do lists, right? So sometimes it's really just taking full days where I'm just planning and visioning and thinking about where do I want to lead this ship versus just, sitting down and writing all my little paying bills and, all those little micro things that we have to do on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
And then my other thing is just parenting. I think as a mother and of two kids, I think just that balance is always it's never perfect. And it's always just trying to find that fine balance between spending enough time with your children, and then this is another child. Like my clinic is another child in some way. So having those feel both good on both ends is always a personal challenge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's pretend we can go back in time just before you started the clinic, before you got into exactly what it is you're doing right now. Is there any kind of advice you would have given your former self before you, like looking back, is there any advice you would have given yourself before starting?
Yeah, just to know yourself and to be yourself. And so I feel like I still struggle with this, and I don't feel like I'm alone. I feel like there are hundreds of chiropractors in Toronto. There's hundreds of real estate agents. There's hundreds of dentists. There's so many of these professions, and then Facebook and all the social media I don't think helps our egos in the sense of we need to find our own path in these things that we do. And I feel like I have my own skills and my own talents, unique talents. But I think sometimes like sitting in those places of Facebook, sitting in those places where everyone else is doing something that looks better than what you're doing is sometimes challenging because your ego can take a hit and you're like, oh, maybe I should be doing what that person's doing, or maybe I should write that book or do that podcast or do that, ebook and so sometimes I really just have to sit down, close my eyes and go, is that part of my path? And then I have to sit with, who am I? How much time do I have? How much energy do I have? And then go back to my big picture, right? About, is that where I want my energy to be spent or my life to go, right? So I think it's always like, know thyself and then be yourself. You can only be you, right? So you just kind of be, inexcusably you is really that's something I have to keep telling myself because I think it's challenging, but I'm getting more comfortable.
That's fantastic. Well, that's good.
The wisdom is sinking in.
How long have you been there now?
So the clinic has been open 12 years.
Okay.
And I bought it off the other clinic owner about 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you must have had some times, especially being a chiropractor, about making a difference. So give me the time when you thought, wow, I'm making a huge difference here.
Yeah. So I treat a lot of families and I treat a lot of babies, and some people just think, how on earth do you treat babies in chiropractic? So, obviously you're an adult, you add, the force that's, relevant for the amount of body weight that, you are. And it's the same with children. So you add a little bit of force and honestly, it makes such a big difference. So I see a lot of new mamas with new babies who are either colicky or not breastfeeding well. And to treat a baby and then give it back to the mom and then have that baby like actually feed. And the mom's like, oh my God, what did you do? Like that doesn't hurt. Or my baby's like sucking properly, is like, you just feel like their life has just opened up. Like as a mama, all you want to do is be able to provide for your child. And when you can't feel like you have that ability, it's very heart-wrenching. So to actually make those like little things that you can do make such a difference in someone's life, it's like every day I go, that's why I do this work.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So let's dig a little bit deeper. So
yeah.
We talked a little bit about this before, so I understand where this is going, but let's imagine we dropped you on an island, and on this island, there were no chiropractors, nobody knew anything about chiropractic work. Give me the reasons or the benefits why they should be using your services.
Well, I said to you before, I actually go to Algonquin every year, and I go to this place called Camp Wanakita, which is a family camp that we go to every year. And there was 2 incidents last year where sprained ankle and a sprained knee, and one guy, he had never had any chiro. I bring like a bag of tricks when I go camping.
That's funny.
I bring a set of acupuncture needles. I bring my physio tape. I bring my hands. I bring essential oils. I bring it all, right? So it's basically like this healing kit of just, and you bring some Tylenol and antihistamine for, the emergencies.
Of course.
But I also bring my hands. So I feel like there was one guy who's like, I've never had any of this done before. And his wife's just like, just let her do it to you, you know? And honestly, like he was like limping. And then the next day he was like, I don't know what you did to me. Like, you know, and he had the rest of the week to play with his kids and hang out. Same thing happened again in Algonquin on the island, you know, just helping somebody, my friend who's sprained her ankle as well. Like, it's just, you know, so I feel like, you know, the proof is in the pudding. Like you just do the stuff. And I'm not the best, even, I'm just going to say salesperson with the stuff I do. I know what I do. I know I'm skilled at it. I tell people, and if it works, it works, you know, like we can only know to try. Right. But absolutely. I know it works. Like I know it works. Yeah. So,
like maybe now's a good time. Maybe you can share with our listeners and our watchers, video watchers. Maybe you can let everybody know what kind of services you do offer at the clinic.
Yeah. So overall, we have 4 massage therapists. We have a naturopath. We have 4 chiropractors that work here. Other skills that we do, like myself and the other naturopath do acupuncture. We do craniosacral therapy. We do orthotics. We have like a cold laser machine for our real challenges or acute injuries. And we do, one of our massage therapists also does reflexology. So there's a bunch of different things within the clinic.
And I also learned that you do animals, like pets, like dogs.
Yeah. So one of our other chiropractors. So after you graduate from chiropractic college and wherever you are, but then you can almost like kind of really focus on what things that you want to do. So I've done, you know, an extra training for kids and pregnant ladies and pre and postnatal. And one of our other chiropractors has done training for animals. So she does it here on Tuesdays, cats and dogs mostly. Amazing. Like I think it's really well known for horses and things like that, but there's no horses coming in here.
Not in the middle of the city, no.
Not in the middle of the city.
That's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So before we start to wrap up, everybody uses technology these days. So is there any kind of technology like apps that you couldn't live without that you use on a regular basis?
I have gotten into something called Trello. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Absolutely, I have. We actually as you know, we're a real estate office, and we actually are using it because we're a brokerage, and we have our agents that we can have all kinds of different things, and it's amazing. I can drag and drop stuff.
Oh God, I love the drag and drop. So so I have some boards running with my social media person, with my graphics lady, with my office manager, with and then I have my goals set. So I basically have all my to-dos, and then I kind of drag and drop, which makes me super happy in a to-do list perspective. And then the other one I really like from a personal perspective is Grid Diary. So it's kind of like the bullet journal, but you can have like a pre-populated, which you make up things that you wanted to kind of get done that day. So mine are something like, did I exercise today? Did I eat well today? What 3 great things happened to me today? So you basically, because I feel like sometimes in our life we can go through an entire week and go, what happened there? And you kind of think, I didn't get anything done. That week was just really challenging. But when you start to retrain your brain to really pull out all of the things that actually were positive, that were good, then it sometimes helps to recalibrate how you actually see things, which I think is super important, because I can just go and not stop.
I got to look into that. That sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, really great. Yeah.
So let's leave our audience with a party message. Is there any book that you've read or quote that you live by that's helped mold you?
I read last year Start With Why by Simon Sinek, and I love it from a just purpose-driven perspective. I feel like you need to start with your passion and why you're doing things, because in sometimes the lowest of the low moments, that passion and that fire is what's going to drive you. It's the why, right? Because sometimes there's moments doing anything that you do when you're an entrepreneur that you're like, I don't know if I can do it anymore. And then you're like, why am I doing this again? And then I can always feel when I'm off purpose. And I feel like because I sort of work and have that sort of idea of energy with a yogic perspective, that when I'm off purpose and off my why, then I actually get tired. When I'm on my why, I'm energized. When I'm off my why, I'm exhausted, and I get angry at people, and I'm like, this is not value. like, working with and doing this is not of my value. So I can kind of honestly feel like you can feel when you're on your why or in your.
That's absolutely so true. I mean, you gotta have that purpose is really what drives everybody, right? So that's I'm glad you shared that with us. Thank you very much. And
You're welcome.
I'm definitely gonna have all your contact info in the show notes, but maybe let our listeners know how they can get a hold of you or where they can find you.
Yeah, so to get a hold of the clinic, we're at www.omachiropractic.com, and we're right downtown Toronto. Well, Little East End, so we're like Queen and Broadview. So we're at 1 Monroe Street in Toronto, and the phone number is 416-469-0369. And trying to think, I have a personal Facebook page, which I need to work on, so don't judge me. But it's like Dr. Adrienne McRuvie on Facebook. So I again post some things that I'm interested in about kids and other things. So that's sort of where you can get in touch with me. And Oma Chiropractic has a lot of social media stuff, so Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and stuff.
There is, and I noticed the blog was there, pretty interesting articles, and definitely a lot of information there. Maybe somebody can do a little bit of studying before they even make the trip to come and see you. But obviously, hearing and seeing you, how you are, I think is really going to help people, at least calm people down before they come and see you, right? Or make people feel that calm anyway, right? So.
Right.
Well, that's good. I'm glad we did this, and I really appreciate you coming on the show. And we will have, like I said, all your information in the show notes and how people can get a hold of you.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. It was really nice to meet you this way.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. You're welcome.